Finding a job then moving to another country can be incredibly challenging. And if you're struggling right now, you're not alone. So in this video, I want to share my journey of job hunting in Australia and how I get fired from my first two jobs. So you can see that everyone's been there. And yes, it might be easier and quicker for some people to get their first job, but please don't get discouraged if it's taking you longer. Okay, so my very first job in Australia. When I moved here in 2009, my English was horrible. Yes, I did learn it at school and I could read, write, translate, but having just the normal conversation was incredibly difficult. Back in Russia, I finished a psychology degree that's not really that easily recognized in Australia, so I needed to do a lot of extra studies. I decided I'm not gonna go that path. So during uni, I had a few casual jobs, mostly in the sport and fitness industry, and my last job was a sales manager at a fitness club. So when I moved, I just want a job, just any job, just a job. It's important to mention that I moved to the Sunshine Coast in 2009, and back then there was not that many foreigners there. So majority of people been emigrating to the big cities, and when you speak with the accent on the Sunshine Coast, people were like a little bit surprised. So, and even locals were struggling to get jobs there. It was about 300 applications just for like one admin job. So obviously looking for a job was a bit of a disaster. Applying for jobs online was absolutely useless. No one ever replied or called me about any application. So I printed my resume on a shiny, expensive paper from office work, put like different logos on it, and went to the shopping center. And like I literally was walking around shopping center, door knocking in the shops and leaving my applications there. So thankfully, it was sort of start getting closer to Christmas, and I got a Christmas casual job in one of the jewelry shops. So basically, I started to look for a job around September, and it took me roughly 3 months. But then my English was slowly improving, so I did really well on the interview and, got that job. I was really excited. But when I started working there, I quickly realized that I didn't understand the customers, and customers didn't understand me. And my colleagues realized it pretty quickly too. So I was doing a lot of like stock taking, restocking, straightening instead of actually serving customers. Around roughly the same time, I got another casual job at the fitness club. And that's thanks to my ex-husband, because every time he would go to a gym, he would talk with everyone there, and he would keep mentioning that his wife used to work in the big fitness clubs back in Russia. So eventually they decided to give it a go and invited me for the interview. And, I passed the interview. I was super excited. They gave me a few shifts. And I felt like I was understanding customers better because the industry was really familiar and the job was more familiar. But there was one problem: answering the phone. And people would be calling to book for the spin class, and there's limited spots there, so people used to call to book for that class. And they just quickly would tell their names. And when I would ask them to spell it, they would spell it even faster. So guessing the names was absolutely disaster. I quickly realized there's so many different names and people spell it in a different way as well. So Catherine with the C, Catherine with the K, Kathy, Kaylee, Kylie. Oh, like my brain was just exploring, so it was impossible for me to guess who's booking to the class. Eventually Christmas season ended, and jewelry shops slowly reduced my hours until they stopped rostering me altogether. And fitness clubs sort of did the same, kept me for a few weeks and just quietly reduced my shifts. So basically, they both quietly stopped giving me any shifts. So I went through having 2 jobs to none. And even though I was able to pass the interviews and got those jobs, because I didn't have good conversation English, I just couldn't keep them. So I continue my search and I eventually got another job, but that's probably a story for another video. So if you want me to film the next video about my story, please let me know in the comments, and I'll do another one as well. Now, the moral of the video. It's hard. It can be devastating for the self-esteem, having a high education but not be able to even keep a simple basic job. You know you're capable of doing a lot of things, but you just can't communicate it clearly. So if you're moving to Australia, consider a few things. Firstly, you might want to move to the bigger city where people is more accustomed to the accents and probably will understand you more easily. So obviously work on your conversational English. Conversational. So focus less on the vocabulary and more on your pronunciation. It's better to explain something in the simple words and pronounce them correctly rather than using big words and mispronounce them all. So I still have a really strong accent after 15 years here in Australia. But people understand me. That's what actually matters. Also, go out and meet people in the real life. Talk to locals, attend the events, speak with people in the coffee shop, and don't give up. Trust me, the things will get easier and easier every year. And of course, subscribe to this channel to listen to weekly discussions about IT career in Australia.